The Dodgers took 3 of 4 against the Giants in LA. That was good. Blake Treinen was bad. That was bad. The bullpen still a little bit of a question mark. Also, Will Smith is more hurt than we thought, or maybe as hurt as we thought he could maybe be. We're going to talk about a bunch of things here on this edition of the All Dodgers podcast. Man, at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. My name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media platforms. And the guy to my stage right there is Jeff Snider. Not a big football guy. I am a big football guy, and I'm only bringing that up because I saw Ray Soto in the chat saying bad day for sports, bad Sunday for sports. Great for me. I'm an Eagles fan, so as you guys know, don't tune out. But I enjoyed the day a whole lot. All Dodgers is part of the Bleav Network podcast, brought to you by FanDuel, and yeah, Jeff, 3 of 4, that's good. That's what you want to do against the Giants at home in LA, but it could have been another one of those like greedy sweeps. It feels like we've talked about on a number of these Sunday streams. What'd you like from the weekend? What'd you like from today before we get into the things we obviously don't like about Blake Treinen?
Yeah, if you take away the specifics and just told us, last time you and I talked was Friday after the game 1 of the series, and if you had told me Dodgers are going to win 3 or 4, I would have been sweet. Good series, But like you said, once they win the first 3, we get greedy, especially when they had a late lead again in this game, had a chance to extend that lead, a little bit of bad luck on the Tommy Edman line drive that, maybe could have extended the lead. All in all, today's game felt like a game they definitely could have won, and you can make a decent case that they should have won. And so, yeah, the greedy side of me is bummed about it. The good news is, it's essentially it's as close to a meaningless game as you can get without being actually meaningless, because there's nothing the Dodgers can really do to get the 2 seed, and there's nothing they can realistically do to lose the division. I'm sure people are going to be mad at me for saying that I'm getting complacent. Luckily, it doesn't matter. I'm not on the team. I'm sure the team is not complacent. But so all in all, we got another data point on Blake Treinen today, so we'll call it that.
Yeah, I want to talk about Emmet Sheehan before anything because Emmet, I had said I think a week ago after his last start, heading into that start, he was looking to secure some sort of spot on the postseason roster. Definitely not going to be in the rotation just because the rotation is stacked with dudes who make a lot more money than him. But kid absolutely shoved 7, scoreless. I forget how many hits. 1, 2, 3, whatever. No walks. Hit. 1 hit. There's another 1 hit.
He did hit 2 batters. Yeah, just the 3 base runners. 1 hit and 2 hit batters.
And 10 punchies. Again, the big thing. No walks there. Whatever. 2 hit batters. They had it coming after all of the attacks they did on my boy Max Muncy. But my word, this kid has kind of he would be an ace on probably half of the other ball clubs in the league, if not more of them. He has been so dang good, and he is somebody that Dave Roberts said after the game, there is a strong likelihood, this is me paraphrasing, he is somebody who is going to be taking down some big, meaningful innings, like getting some leverage situations out of the bullpen for this team. Does have one more start lined up on Friday, which initially our expectation was that's going to be a Kershaw start. I'm now suddenly thinking that what we saw on Friday might be the final Kershaw we see, but we don't need to dive too much into that. But yeah, I just wanted to give some love to Sheehan because after watching Blake Treinen, knowing that you're going to have somebody of the ilk, somebody with the stuff that Emmet Sheehan has going right now, it makes me feel a little bit better about the bullpen situation, which we know, yesterday, Kirby Yates all over the place, as he likes to do. A couple of runs in 7th, 8th inning. I don't know. I was quarter paying attention at that point. Thankfully, the Dodgers still win that game. But those 2 guys, all of a sudden we're talking about Blake Treinen, Kirby Yates, not so much Tanner Scott, who is still in the back of a lot of people's minds a frightening proposition entering a game in a leverage spot or late in the game, Dodgers trying to secure a win.
Yeah, going back to Sheehan, I expect Sheehan and Kershaw will probably both pitch on Friday. I suspect my guess would be that Robert saying Sheehan will start on Friday will eventually morph into Sheehan will come in after Kershaw goes 3 innings or something, just kind of give them both a tune-up before the end of the regular season, because it will be on, Dodgers short rest, only what used to be called regular rest, which was called long rest when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
It'll just be on 4 days rest. And so my guess would be that we'll see Kershaw for 3 and Sheehan for 4 or something in that game. But yeah, he was awesome. He was great. And, I've seen people, thinking, upset on Sheehan's behalf that he didn't get the win because of Treinen. Luckily, nobody who is ever going to be in a position to give Emmet Sheehan money cares about pitcher wins, and so it's not going to affect that at all. It's the team should have won this game.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But ultimately, I don't think it matters to Emmet Sheehan other than the fact that the team should have won the game, because he was awesome. And everybody knows he was awesome, and we definitely got some data points on him too.
Yeah, people obviously still upset about Blake Treinen in the chat. People upset about the idea of Dave Roberts going to Blake Treinen when we're looking at what's going on in the chat here. I don't know if we want to go straight into Treinen yet, or if we should look around the league more so, because as of now, still, as we see on the screen here, Dodgers have the magic number of 3. They can clinch in Arizona, where I hear they have a nice pool that the Dodgers have been known to party in, or at least the horses have been known to guard. But there was a kind of changing of the guard. The Mets currently do not have a wild card spot, and when I was looking yesterday at the wild card, kind of picture in the National League, I saw yesterday morning before I did my show, the Reds were 2 games behind the Mets, and then all of a sudden now, by virtue of I think them having the tiebreaker, the Reds are in the playoffs, and the Dodgers would play the Reds on starting on Tuesday the 30th for that wild card series. Still enough baseball yet to be played, but what's your take on what's going on with that wild card?
Yeah, it is wild, that's for sure, and that's probably why they call it that.
I had to.
You look at the remaining schedules between the Mets and the Reds, and they each have a series against a good team and a series against a bad team. I think the Reds' bad team is badder and their good team is gooder. The Reds play the Pirates and then the Brewers, and the Mets play the Cubs and then the Marlins. I think the Marlins have been a relatively decent team lately. At least last time I looked. I don't follow the Marlins super closely, but that's going to be an interesting thing to watch this week. The Brewers have some consequential games coming up because they have the Padres and then they have the Reds. Like, the Brewers can do a lot of spoiling in the next week, which is fun for them, I guess, the position they want to be in. But yeah, I mean, with the Reds having the tiebreaker, all they got to do is hold serve and win as many games as the Mets do the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And I don't hate their chances. I go back and forth. Like, I've seen people saying they don't want the Reds because their pitching is scarier. The Mets have rookie pitchers that they would probably roll out in a series, but those guys all have really good stuff. They're in the big leagues for a reason. I think the Dodgers offense should be able to score off either team. But the Dodgers offense should be able to do a lot of things it doesn't do very often,
Yeah, eventually, you feel pretty good about the Dodgers being able to get to Reds pitching, even if they have some electric arms with like Hunter Green, of course, is one of the first names you're going to see there. They've seen Nick Martinez a whole bunch over time. Brady Singer over there, just looking at the Reds baseball reference page and citing names. But I was looking at that Mets roster and the fact that they just plainly don't have a bona fide ace. In a short series, I feel super confident about this team running out, Snell or Yamamoto or potentially Ohtani in a game 1, which was something that was kind of thrown around yesterday. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I feel pretty good about, an NLDS appearance for the Dodgers, but I don't know. Is that
whoever
hubris?
they play, they beat.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to.
I don't want to get too crazy about it. People get mad also when you have confidence in your team. It's very weird. The internet is a difficult place sometimes. You did mention
the Dodgers will play a team that's worse than them, and I wish that mattered more.
You mentioned the Brewers have the opportunity to play spoiler a lot. Of course, the Padres start a series against the Brewers tomorrow, 3-game series, I believe. Padres currently favored over on the FanDuel odds, -130 to win tomorrow against those Brewers, which kind of shocking because it's Freddie Peralta and Nick Pivetta. But you had messaged myself and producer Kevin earlier today, K-pop as you call him. There are no more division odds that you can bet on in the National League West. Your Dodgers are your foregone favorites, and you got to feel pretty good about that, people.
Yeah, FanDuel is no longer taking action on the National League West. It's over as far as they're concerned, at least from a betting standpoint. Over at FanGraphs, Dodger at 98.6% to win the division.
Yeah.
The Padres at 1.4, and the everybody else is at 0. Interestingly, also at FanGraphs, the Giants are down to 0.3% chance to get one of the wild card spots. They were at 1% to win the division just a week and a half ago. Now they're at 0.3 to even get one of the wild card spots because they're only like 3 games out of a spot, I think, something like that. But they would have to leapfrog 3 teams. And so they are, they're 3 games out, but the D-backs, Mets, and Reds are all ahead of them for that last spot. So they'd have to jump over all of them, which seems rough for them. And so that was one of the fun things about this weekend. Obviously, I care about the Dodgers first and foremost and almost exclusively, but there's a little bit of fun in kind of stepping on the Giants' necks and saying, hey, remember before you played us 10 days ago when you were feeling really good about your playoff chances? And then after Patrick Bailey hit that walk-off grand slam, you were feeling really, really good.
Real good.
And then you lost 5 in a row to the Dodgers and feel less good now. I enjoy that.
There was a conversation in our Discord. I think I saw yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. I forget who had said it, so I apologize. But I saw it was like, I miss when the Dodger-Giant rivalry meant more. It had more weight to it. Like, it's a great feeling after seeing so many of them. Obviously, you are much older and more decrepit than I. You've seen a lot more of the head-to-head battles and knocking the Giants out on the final day. The biggest one for me, of course, Steve Finley in 2004, or the reverse, which happens, it feels like a lot more in your time watching this team, the Giants knocking the Dodgers out late in the season. So it does feel pretty dang good to just about mathematically eliminate them. And to the to the Giants, I say, as long as we can all hear that. I can't hear it. I'm assuming you can hear it.
I can hear it, yeah.
Dunzo. All right. Do we want to talk about Blake Treinen now?
I think we gotta, bullpen in general, but Blake Treinen is the big question,
Yeah.
Do you have Sydney's chat
I can.
starred from earlier? It's SYDNI is her about I saw it earlier.
Which one is it?
Not sure why.
Yes, gotcha.
You see, says not sure why Roberts even put Treinen in the game in that spot or didn't take him early if Vesia was available the entire time. And that's kind of what I was getting at early when I said we got more data points on Blake Treinen.
Mm-hmm. Richie also had a similar thought. It's like getting tired of Dave pissing away games, with struggling pitchers to try to make them feel better. It's not a feel better. It's you have to see if these guys are worthy of getting big opportunities in big games in the postseason. And I don't know that Treinen's on that. Even if Dave is saying his trust is unwavering, might just be smokescreen.
Yeah, vote of confidence isn't always the best thing for somebody historically, looking at all different walks of life. And but we talked 12 days ago about who would be on our postseason pitching staff. Mm-hmm. And things have changed over the last 12 days, and they'll change some more over the next week. Yeah. But like my opinion is right now, if they had to make the roster right now, I don't see any way you can put Blake Treinen on.
No.
And so when Dave Roberts said his trust is unwavering or whatever, I think what he's saying is, I believe that over the next week, Blake will prove to me that he belongs on the postseason roster. Because the stuff still moves. The stuff still moves. It's still good stuff. He just has no idea where it's going. But if if nothing gets better between now and the end of the season, I don't think Treinen ends up on the postseason roster. And so, but that's why Treinen has to come into games right now. Games that, as much as we want the Dodgers to win every game, they don't really matter. I know it would be much better if the Dodgers had already clinched the division, but the Dodgers are going to win the division.
Yeah.
They've already clinched a playoff spot. They're going to win the division. And so you've got to give Blake Treinen at least a couple more chances to say, hey, look, I remembered how to pitch. Or, look, I still don't know how to pitch. Because whichever answer it is, that's going to determine whether they write his name on the roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's frustrating. I fully understand where people are coming at, and I also agree with your take on this. It's now is the time to do it. If the Dodgers were on the verge of getting swept in that series, I think Dave manages a little bit different there. But going yesterday to Kirby Yates in that spot, because you need to see, even though I think a week ago he proved he doesn't deserve to be on the postseason roster, but knowing how important Blake Treinen was to this squad, to this bullpen, to Dave's managerial ability in the postseason last year, words are hard. They don't win last year without Blake Treinen. So that's where you do need to see, like you're saying, every single potential data point. You got 6 more games. If he's able to appear in 3 of them, you might feel a little bit better. But you don't get the benefit of, 5 days off between the regular season and the start of the postseason this year. They won't be able to kind of maybe find whatever Blake Treinen's version of a Brent Honeywell is to get him right between series or in an off day or whatever. Figure it out now. It's every bit of a shit or get off the pot kind of situation, and that's what they need to do with Blake Treinen. So yeah, as much as it sucks to see him enter these games, you have to now. 15.19 ERA over his last 7 games. 0-5. He has 5 losses.
And if you factor in inherited runners, Treinen this month has now allowed 14 runners to score between his own and other people's. And that's in 9 appearances. Your hope in 9 appearances for a guy of Treinen's ability would be more like 1.4 instead of 14. So he's basically been 10 times as bad as we would hope he would be. And that's, I've said this many times, but I don't think I've said it since I came to this channel. And I don't want people to have to go look at that other channel to hear me say it. So I'm going to say it this way. I think the disconnect where fans get really mad at Dave Roberts is fans want Dave Roberts to manage to win every game. Dave Roberts is managing to win the World Series. And right now, the Dodgers' best chance of winning the World Series is to figure out, should Blake Treinen be on the roster? Should Michael Conforto be on the roster? All these people who we want, lit on fire and thrown into a pile of gas. The manager's job is to get data points and say, okay, which 26 guys are going to give us the best chance to win the World Series. And Dave Roberts has a pretty good track record over the years of giving guys chances after fans wanted the people launched into the sun and it working out. Yeah. Whether it's Chris Taylor or Jock Peterson or, a bunch of, I think
Gavin
it was
Lux last year.
Chris Taylor in 3 different seasons. Yeah. Gavin Lux last year. Jock Peterson in like 2 different seasons. Guys who end up having, Kike Hernandez last year.
Yeah.
All these people. And so, it's
this year it's going to be Dodgers legend Michael Conforto.
You know what? It's like when you look at Michael Conforto right now, he comes up to bat. You don't feel the same way you did 2 months ago.
No.
You don't feel like, well, here's an automatic out. Here's an automatic 2 outs.
Somebody did it's 3 weeks ago, to be honest.
This guy might actually do something. And honestly, that's more than you can say about some other people who are going to be on the postseason roster.
Yeah. We got a super chat earlier from Francisco Diaz 499. Thank you very much. Come on, push the stupid thing here. Anyways, I had the button so I could push the gong and the money and the whole thing. Yes, Blake Treinen is garbage and deserves a lot of blame. But when your offense scores only 1 run off a guy making his first career start, it is worse in my opinion. I mean, it's an objective opinion for sure. Dodgers absolutely should have scored more off of the kid.
You know what though? That kid pitched great. He stayed out of the middle of the plate. He made a lot of really good pitches. I don't think he's that good, but every major league pitcher has the ability to pitch like that. Sometimes you'll look at a guy, you look at your baseball cards from your childhood, you'd be like, this dude had, only lasted 2 years in the league and had an ERA of 6 and he had 3 career shutouts, and it's like, what happened in those games? Well, he was a very talented pitcher who did everything right for, 9 innings. And these days you don't have to do it for 9 innings. This guy did it for 6 innings, and then the Dodgers caught up to him, but he made a lot of really good pitches. I think the next time the Dodgers face him, he won't do as well, just law of averages. But yeah, today I didn't feel like the Dodgers offense was up there flailing or anything. Not like they struck out a ton.
Good stuff is still good stuff.
Yeah.
And also it's a team that, let's face it, we've seen it over the years. The Dodgers aren't always great against pitchers that they don't have a book on. Kid making his first start. It's not always the case, but it feels, the perception is they really struggle against dudes making, debuts or rookies and that kind of stuff. I don't have the data to back that up and make it a fact or not, but that's just the feeling I know some folks get. I don't know. You also have your Dodger killers in there. I was going to say Eric Lauer for some reason, but anyways, I'll move on from that.
Yeah, Ty Block. Pick a bad lefty and say his name. But
Joey
both of
Lucchesi.
those guys, the Dodgers eventually got to both Ty Block and Eric Lauer. So.
I like this one from Mike Doom Sal in the chat. I saw earlier. First time I've seen Dave Roberts looked annoyed talking about his bullpen in the post-game interview. I didn't watch it. I saw some of the blurbs from it, but I saw Dave. I'm sure you did as well. After trying to struggling that inning, he's kind of there on his clipboard or whatever. He had a very angry pencil going.
Yeah. There was definitely some lead being broken when he's jotting in his scorebook that time. It was similar to the look when Dalton Rushing had his pass ball the other night. I bet Dave wishes the camera hadn't caught him right then that night. But it's I mean, Dave Roberts. He wants to win the World Series. He wants to win the World Series, and he knows the Dodgers' best chance is for Blake Treinen to be good. Mm-hmm. But their next best chance is if Blake Treinen is bad, don't put him on the roster. So that's what they're figuring out between. Is Blake Treinen going to be good, or are we going to leave him off the roster?
Future pitching coach LC in the chat says we need to quit walking people. I agree with that one. Sign me the F up. Somebody get Mark Pryor on the phone with that. I don't know in the chat. This is getting back to something we've kind of been talking about and around, but I don't know says Roberts has mismanagement, 1-run game, should have had Vesia in that spot. And we already talked about all of the reasons why it's frustrating, but kind of okay to go ahead and plug in Blake Treinen in that spot. But I'm going to take this as a selfish opportunity to plug mine and Alana's interview with Dave Roberts. That the whole thing, her and I had a 2-on-1 sit down exclusive interview at Camelback Ranch just before the team took off to Korea, because of the whole people hating the way he, some moves, some decisions he made in the postseason last year, and talking about what you're talking about, Jeff. He's not always managing to win that day's game. Sometimes you do need to think ahead. The only time you manage to throw out all the stops to win that day's game is when it's Game 6 or an elimination, or Game 7 or an elimination game, obviously. But I would just implore people, go check that out, because eventually we do get to a point where we're asking Dave, like I asked him point blank, like what the hell happened in that, I think it was Game 3, Game 4 against the Padres in that NLDS, because it was a punt. It was every bit of a punt. And he explained why. And you know what? I'm not going to say that a 2-time World Series champion manager was wrong. There are times they're going to make decisions that suck to watch as a fan, suck to endure as a fan, but there is a reason why. And that is just, again, a plug to tell people, go back, check it out. Maybe
Padres or the Mets series? You're talking about the one with Flaherty sucked?
No, it was the Padres series. I think also the Mets series was in there, but I was talking specifically, I had mentioned the Padres series because they had that really awful game at home. And then there's the one where I think Buehler was left in a little bit too long, where ultimately
he just had the one bad inning that the defense let him down. And then he was good after that. He stayed in and they ended up only losing that game by 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways. On the walk topic, the Dodgers only had one unintentional walk today. It did happen to come with bases loaded in a tie game, which sucked. But walks weren't walks were the problem in that one at bat, and walks were the problem when Blake Treinen is pitching. Walks in general were not the problem today.
They have been at times, for sure, but not much today. Another super chat as well. We got 199 from our friend Richie Flores. Richie the nasty says, can we clinch first, then figure out this whole bullpen situation? I mean, no. You could.
Like, you won't have time to figure it out.
But yeah, like, you're running out of calendar here.
Yeah, pitching Alex Vesia in the 8th inning today would not have told the Dodgers anything about Blake Treinen. In fact, it would have increased the chances of Blake Treinen being on the postseason roster if he hadn't pitched today. Instead, he did pitch. He was bad, which means his chances of being on the roster go down. And that's, data is important. And yeah, it would be fun to win every game, but he's got to do what he's got to do.
Science. Hashtag science.
Hashtag math, baby.
We also got 499 from ADK says, I know it does. Oh, wait, I got to do the buttons. I know it doesn't feel like, sorry, I blocked it there, like it, but Doc is going to manage the playoff games very differently. Doc's goal is to win the war, not every battle. And that's a great way of putting it. We want to win the war. Not wins by replacement, but World Series war. Anyways, do we want to find a way to shoehorn in our rosters and our kind of make our edits?
I don't think it's even shoehorning, because there's a lot that has changed in the last 9 days since the last time you remember. If you're longtime listeners who were listening 9 days ago will remember the episode that we did, the three of us, you, me, and K-Pop, when I was in my car and you guys were in your mom's basements. And we talked about our postseason pitching staff. So this is the graphic we popped up 9 days ago for me. This is my staff. My starters have remained the same. Bulk and long relief remain the same. My bullpen locks have changed. And my competitions have changed. Because, again, like I said, if they had to make the roster right now, I don't think Blake Treinen's on it. I still think he'll get a few more chances to earn his way on. Ben Kasparius, I thought was a lock then. Now, I don't know. Have you seen how he's done since they sent him down? I haven't even.
From what I think, his first outing was pretty good. There's no reason for us both to look it up. His first outing was pretty good, and I think he had a little bit of a stinker. And then since, I don't know, our buddy Mike probably knows a little bit better at the moment, and I'm sure he'll pop in there. But even so, I still feel, looking at that one, I feel a lot more confident about Ben Kasparius than Treinen.
Because at least Kasparius throw strikes. I am seeing Kasparius has walked exactly 0 batters in his 5 appearances in AAA. He's allowed 2 runs in, looks like 5 1/3 innings. So, and walked 0 batters, allowed 1 home run. So, you know what? Not bad at all. So, yeah, Kasparius, I think, maybe has a good chance to come back, but I wouldn't call him a lock anymore. But if you go back to that screen and look at my competitions, Kopech or Edgargo, I think Edgargo has locked that one up. I think Edgargo is a lock for the season bullpen now.
Same.
And then the bottom one, Yates or Stewart, I think Kirby Yates has officially pitched his way off the postseason roster, and possibly we may never see him pitch again for the Dodgers. He may be off the active roster as soon as like Tuesday when Roki gets added to the roster.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Yates is the move there. And I said back on the 9th.
He's going to be real hurt, by the way, wink, wink.
I said back on the 9th that there is a chance that both Yates and Stewart don't make the roster because of Stewart's health and Yates being a terrible pitcher, which would then mean that my other competition, which is Robleski and Bonda, there's room for both of them to make it. So that's a possibility there. But then I saw in the chat somebody saying, what about Roki?
Yeah, we got a few of those.
Roki is a possibility. Will Klein. You remember that episode on September 9th. The last 2 words I said to you, Clint, as you were getting ready to sign off, I said, Will Klein. Do you remember that?
No, I don't pay attention to you. Come on now.
Yeah, I said Will Klein. I didn't say him at all during the episode until the very end, because Will Klein's got good stuff. And I knew that then. And he's been pitching better in AAA, and we've seen him now twice in the big leagues back-to-back days. He's allowed 1 hit. He's gotten 6 outs and allowed 0 runs. That's kind of what you're looking for in a relief pitcher, getting outs and not allowing runs.
Breaking news. That's what you want to see for sure. Yeah, I mean, Will Klein is somebody. We're going to talk about Roki in a second. Dave has already said Brock Stewart is somebody who's going to be, if he's healthy, is going to be on the bullpen. But then again, we know Dave says things. For the exercise here, both of us know we can use it. This was my bullpen at the time, and I had Edgardo in my bullpen initially, and I didn't have Sheehan on the roster just because I thought the team might not, find a way to deploy him or whatever. Then I changed my mind, but Kopech off of that roster, that is Edgardo Henriquez's spot. And what we saw coming in relief of Clayton Kershaw on Friday just triple cemented it for me. The dude is nasty. He has just disgustingly filthy stuff. Honestly, over Brock Stewart and Kyle Hurt, I like Kyle Hurt, who's not on my paper here. But Blake Treinen and Michael Kopech, they are off. They are off of my roster that I put together back on all the way back when September 9th. And I think as much of a look Will Klein is going to get, I don't know that he ends up making it. Yeah. I lost my train of thought there. I just want to get to the postseason, I guess, already.
Today in Oklahoma City, Brock Stewart made his third appearance with the Comets.
That's right.
And he pitched a scoreless inning, allowed 1 hit, 1 strikeout. He did allow 4 runs in his previous appearance. All 4 were unearned, but they were the kind of unearned runs that a pitcher shouldn't have allowed. It's not like it was 6 errors leading to 4 runs. It was one of those where 1 error that should have been the third out, and then he got knocked around after that. And it's like, well, you got to be able to limit the damage. That's, limiting the damage is one of the key things you're looking for in a high leverage reliever. And so, concerns there. Kyle Hurt pitched a scoreless inning today, but didn't strike anybody out. Roki Sasaki, a perfect inning, 1 strikeout. Bobby Miller, scoreless inning, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. His AAA ERA is down to 5.66. So, you know what? Yeah, Bobby Miller is probably not going to be there. Go back to Brock Stewart. As Dave Roberts said, if he's healthy, he's going to be there. I think healthy has some unspoken implications of the way we'll know he's healthy is if he's pitching goodly in AAA.
Yeah.
And so he's still got to earn it.
Yeah, and that's what Nando is saying. Brick Stewart hasn't earned a spot, and he was awful, and that should be enough. That should be enough. NS saying Clint is looking up to Jesus for answers. No, I have another screen up here where I have things in the next screens that I might be showing. I thought that was funny. Before we get to Roki, we did have a couple of super chats. One of them I do believe is Roki related. David had a $5 super chat earlier in the chat. Thank you very much, David. Asking, did anybody else see trying to look up to the sky and say F you as he walked off the mound? I didn't see that.
I would assume he was saying thank you. That's generally people who are looking up to the sky are thanking the religious person they're looking up at. And so I assume it was thank you, and that amateur lip readers may have misinterpreted that.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as the type that would say F you walking off the mound. And we got $1.99 from Swell and Sausage. What's going on, Sausage? Good to see you. That's what she said. Is Roki going to get a look out of the pen or not? And there is our great segue. Roki Sasaki, you saw that tweet that I had plugged in from Fabian Ardaya. The expectations are that we've already kind of discussed or alluded to here. Sasaki is going to get 1, maybe 2 opportunities at the big league level to come out of the bullpen. Probably, for being fair, only 1. But this is where we're at right now, What Dave is saying is like he's done enough to at least get an opportunity, but he needs to do more. He needs to, I think he said yesterday before the game, he's got to show that he could throw the fastball 99 consistently and hit his spots and also have the strikeout splitter going. It feels like an extremely uphill battle for Roki to crack the postseason roster, at least in the wild card series. What's your view of it?
Yeah, I think he'll get a chance. And I think the Dodgers are going to be looking for stuff, because if you are losing guys like Blake Treinen, who has stuff, you need guys who can come in and strike some guys out.
Yeah.
And that's what Dave Roberts said. From Roki, we're looking for fastball command, splitter command, the ability to strike guys out. And, somebody mentioned in the chat that I should have mentioned. Yeah, Oklahoma City's season is done now. Today was their last game, and so any other, Brock Stewart. I misspoke when I said he's going to have to prove it in Oklahoma City. He's going to have to prove it in the big leagues that he can, or at least at Camelback Ranch or something. I don't know. But same with Roki. Like he's going to get a chance in the big leagues, coming in relief, and the stuff is really good with Roki. The velocity seems to be back up. The splitter still looks filthy at times, and so Roki absolutely. I think he absolutely has a legitimate chance at making the postseason roster, especially because one thing to remember is that when we talk about the postseason roster, it's not actually one roster. It's one, potentially as many as 4 rosters, because you reset the roster for every series. So, for example, Tyler Glasnow probably won't be on the wild card series roster because at the most they need 3 starting pitchers. So whoever they decide is their 4th starter in the postseason, that guy's probably not even going to be on the roster, which means you can add another reliever. You can still only have 13 pitchers plus Shohei Ohtani.
Honestly, that probably makes Will Klein a lock as well, having
I would
that
think
extra
so.
spot. Yeah,
because realistically, at that point, the Dodgers have room for 11 relief pitchers on their roster, because you have 2 starters plus Shohei Ohtani. Now, 2 of those relievers will be Clayton Kershaw and Emmet Sheehan, probably. And maybe not. Maybe one of those guys gets left off in the wild card series too, just depending on seeing who they're playing, all those things, all that stuff will be taken into account. It's not just a case of we've decided on these 13 pitchers and that's what we're rolling with for the next month, so they can make adjustments. And so they may look at who they're playing and matchups and say, oh, I like Brock Stewart against this team, I like Justin Robleski against this team, I like Roki Sasaki against this team, and go with them. And then the next series, based on opponent, there will be a ton of math other than just these 13 guys earned it. But I think Roki Sasaki has a very legitimate chance to earn a roster spot.
Or I don't know if earn it, because 2 appearances to me, I don't know. I don't think you're earning it there. To be given one, to be handed one, because they will have that ability to, you're not going to pitch Kershaw in the wild card series. So there's one roster spot. Again, Will Klein takes that. If it is Will Klein, he takes that that Tyler Glasnow spot or whatever. You can be creative for that wild card series, and like you're saying too, based on the matchup, whether it's the Mets or the Reds. Right now, it's the Reds. What makes the most sense? Left-handed, right-handed stuff, and all that kind of thing. All those kind of things. So ultimately, these whatever we put together here, it's 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
The times they are a-changing.
The times they are a-changing. They're going to look different. One guy, let's shift gears, and Sean Allen with the $4.99 super chat helps us shift.
You are
gears.
segueing with these super chats tonight, Clint.
Hey, I appreciate the chat helping us out here. That's synergy right there, ladies and gentlemen. But Sean saying it's big, or if Will Smith makes the postseason, who is the postseason backup catcher? Ben Rortvedt or Dalton Rushing? So a little bit of context, because I didn't talk about it too much on my Saturday stream yesterday morning. We did not do a show on Friday, but the Will Smith news came out that, as you kind of very loudly soft predicted, hey, this is something where you wait for that swelling to go down in that hand, and that's when it could reveal some injuries. So they did discover a hairline fracture in Will Smith's throwing hand, which is his top hand on his bat, which is not good either way you slice it. But there's a hairline fracture, and there's a strong chance he either is just I don't know how you have him pinch hitting if he's not even swinging, but he might not be on the wild card roster as he needs to heal up. Thoughts on the Will Smith situation and into Sean's super chat there. Who's the backup catcher? Dalton's going to be the backup catcher. He might even be the 3rd catcher. There was some words about potentially carrying 3 catchers, which is something I said like a week ago was lining up to make a decent amount of sense. But Dave Roberts said Ben Rortvedt has kind of earned that number 1 spot while Will is out. So go with that wherever you want.
I will now respond to everything.
Everything that I said.
Yeah, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if we see Will Smith before the NLCS.
Same.
So in that case, Yeah, it absolutely is. And so the question of Rortvedt or rushing as the backup is moot, I think, for the first two rounds of the postseason. But if Will Smith does get back, uh, I do think they probably would. I don't know. I'm still iffy on the idea of carrying three catchers because when you have obviously Will Smith, if he's back, he's going to be the starter. He's not going to be not going to come back until he's healthy enough to start. Because if he's healthy enough to contribute as a pinch hitter, he's healthy enough to bat four times a game. And so Will Smith will be the starter. And since you can remove a guy from the roster for a case of injury, although I remember last year, I think it was Evan Phillips who, because he had a pre-existing injury, they had to leave him off the NLCS roster. Was it Phil or did Phillips miss the World Series roster?
I think he missed the World Series roster.
But because he was already injured, they had to leave him off, even though he felt like he probably could have played, because if he had aggravated and got hurt worse, they wouldn't have been able to replace him on the roster because it was a pre-existing injury. I don't know how that would come into play with Will Smith. If that's a concern, that if Smith was to re-injure the hand, they couldn't replace him on the roster, then yeah, they would have to carry three catchers. Mm-hmm. And that might be the case. And that may be what they're thinking when they're talking three catchers. But yeah, I think right now, if Will Smith comes back, Ben Rortvedt will be his backup for the rest of this year, however long this year goes. I hope Ben Rortvedt enjoys this right now, because this is the only time in his life he's going to be a major league starting catcher, unfortunately. But he has been, he's been solid for the Dodgers. He's been a pleasant surprise from you not knowing how to pronounce his last name. I know how to say it. I just can't say it. You weren't even trying the night they traded for him.
No.
And he has turned into a pleasant surprise. Still not a good hitter. He has been better than anybody expected.
Give me luck, baby. Give me luck.
But yeah. And Dalton Rushing, if I were a betting man and FanDuel had odds on it, I would absolutely put money on Dalton Rushing being a better hitter in 2026 than Ben Rortvedt, and a better hitter for the next 5 years than Ben Rortvedt, and however far out you want to take it. Mm-hmm. But this year, it was bad timing for Rushing to get hurt when he did. Yeah. I think, Rushing would be the starting catcher right now if he hadn't fouled that ball off his leg, and he would probably be hitting better too right now. But the fact is, you got to go with what gives you the best chance of winning. And right now, where we're at in the season, Ben Rortvedt is the best chance at winning.
On that note, another shameless plug, Dalton Rushing is joining us tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific time on Dodgers territory. So going to definitely talk catching Clayton Kershaw in his final outing there, and just kind of, where is he at? Is this a wasted season for him, or how important was the development that he was able to make, at least on the catching side? So tune in with Dodgers wonderkind, but not really wonderkind, Dalton Rushing tomorrow. I've been sitting here writing down the names of the people that would make up the 13 on the position player side. And yeah, it is difficult to see them carrying three catchers without, you would have to eliminate Conforto or Kike or Alex Call. That's kind of the only way you're able to carry three catchers. And It's not going to be Kike, because there is a reason he is still around, because it's almost Keektober. It's not going to be Alex Call, because he was your big trade deadline acquisition outside, of course, of Ben Rortvedt. And they have shown they're not going to bail on Michael Conforto now that he's actually hitting. Also, with all that in mind, Conforto kind of hitting, Pages hitting, Teo. I don't know how that lineup sorts out, but that sounds like a problem for a future episode of All Dodgers here. But yeah, carrying three catchers, it seems difficult. I would just rather have myself a very healthy Will Smith, and then watch Ben Rortvedt have to get into games when he needs to, and keep riding his voodoo magic, because there's something special to that kid right now. Mental toughness.
Yeah. I wish there was more hitting ability to go with the mental toughness. I know people love people love giving Rortvedt credit for the pitching, and I hope people noticed that today Dalton Rushing was catching and Emmet Sheehan was lights out. And maybe, like I've said, pitchers deserve the credit for the pitching. I know you got to put the fingers down, you got to call a game, but ultimately 98% of great pitching performances. The credit goes to the pitchers. And if Dalton Rushing was hitting the way that he will eventually, nobody would care about his defense or anything. Yeah. He would be the starting catcher.
Well, what's funny is a couple weeks ago on Foul Territory, like a week ago, they had Tyler Glasnow on, and he was talking about. They asked him about Ben Rortvedt, and he's like, "Yeah, look how great he is. What is he? He's caught almost caught like 3 no-hitters in a row or something like that." He's like, "Well, he wasn't in all of those." He's like, "Yeah, no, there was actually was that a Chucky Robinson game or was that a Dalton Rushing game?"
I think it was a Will Smith game.
Oh, it was a Smitty game. That's right.
One of the few games that Will Smith was around.
He came back.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting, re-aggravating that.
Dodgers starting pitching has just been absolutely great, and they're dragging the catchers along for the ride.
By the way, you talk about Ben Rortvedt not having a bat, career 253 hitter, by the way, hitting 323 as a Dodger. And, we just take that. Take that to
Wait,
the
who?
bank.
Rortvedt?
For Rortvedt, yeah. Sitting 320.
Are you looking at the wrong column?
I am looking at the wrong column there. How about that?
Yeah, you want to do his real numbers now?
Yes, I do.
89 OPS plus, 11% below league average.
270, there it is.
Which is very good for a backup catcher. Solid.
The 323
better than
was
Austin
the
Barnes.
BABIP, by the way. That's the BABIP.
Yeah. I saw somebody saying Austin Barnes gets signed when? And I was going to say sometime in the past. As much as I haven't bought into Ben Rortvedt as a hitter, I will take him over Austin Barnes all day, every day, twice on Sundays.
Our buddy producer Kevin's in the chat saying Austin Barnes over Will Smith. So it tells you Kevin's drunk on a Sunday.
Oh, it might have been Kevin who asked when Austin Barnes gets signed. Oh, yeah, it was. I actually didn't recognize Kevin's username there. So, no.
There it is, baby. Get signed when? There it is. He was at the stadium. They still didn't even let him catch Clayton. So I don't think it's happening. Plus, he literally can't be on the postseason roster because of technical reasons. Olivia, do you think Conforto will be on the postseason roster? Yes. At this point, I think so. And honestly, I think he should, because the fact is, as we point out, he's hitting better than Teo right now. I wish it was going to come down to like today. It's like if they would say, okay, only Conforto or Teo is in the lineup. But I hope that Teo figures out how to hit in the next week. That's what I hope. I want all these guys to figure out how to hit. But I do wonder, I've wondered this about both Hernandez. How bad would they have to be in the wild card series to make you think, well, maybe not in the division series? Or how bad would they have to be in the first 2 series to make you think, well, maybe not in the NLCS? Yeah.
Because once it's Keektober, if Kike is not hitting, is there? What do you do then? Oh, it's not late enough in October.
No, he'll find us. First, you got to find a way to get him in the lineup, And it can't be, he can't be handed a starting role. So Miguel Rojas is going to probably be the starting second baseman, and then he's going to aggravate like a groin or something because he's old and it's colder in October. And then that's how Kike gets in, and then he rides into the sunset. Another postseason heroic performance, or it's going to be Max. He gets hit by 15 fastballs and everything is broken, and Kike ends up playing third again or whatever. But it's gonna happen. It just always finds its way. It's God's plan right there to make sure Keektober happens. Back to some Ben Rortvedt, NS. I agree with this one. I believe the starters prefer Rortvedt over Rushing. You have seen a lot of
Rortvedt is absolutely a better defensive catcher. Mm-hmm. Not as good an arm as Rushing, and I think that's could potentially be an issue depending on who you play. Mm-hmm. If Ellie De La Cruz is on the other team in the wild card round, you consider starting Rushing to try to neutralize the running game a little bit better. Obviously Rushing's not as good at blocking wild pitches. He did have the one pass ball. I don't think that's a recurring issue for him, but not as good defensively. And as far as game calling goes, pitchers seem happy with Rortvedt. But like I said, Emmet Sheehan did just fine with Rushing behind the plate today too.
Also, our buddy Richie, resident instigator with Jeff, says Jeff is a Benny R hater. Care to comment?
I'm very happy that here's what I do. I root for the guys on the Dodgers to do well, and sometimes when a guy who I don't think is actually super good is playing well, I'm happy about it. But also, try to be realistic about whether or not we should maybe sign him to an extension. It got me in trouble last year with a guy named Teoscar Hernandez when I had the nerve to say maybe don't sign him long term because there's some red flags about his performance. And I will say that Ben Rortvedt is a worse hitter than Teoscar Hernandez.
If I had a breaking news button, I would definitely hit that one. We got a $5 super chat from JY Kim. Thank you very much. Asking, does a catcher's hitting ability matter all that much if he's great with the pitchers? All the pitchers seem to praise and trust Rortvedt, so in the same vein, I would say yes. Honestly, hold on. How do I rephrase that?
You're saying no because he's saying does the hitting ability matter?
Yeah, it's a no. That's what I'm going for. The catching ability should be paramount for a catcher, and I will cite AB15 how important he was. Austin was in that 2020 World Series run where Will Smith at the time was considered a pretty bad defender, or at least not an exceptional great game caller. He has gotten better, has kind of declined in some areas of his game or whatever at this point.
Mostly framing,
which
hopefully that'll go away.
Yeah,
when they realize it's bad for baseball.
One of the things that really does bug me with Dalton rushing, as I say this before he joins us tomorrow on Dodgers territory, is like he catches the ball here, then he's just like the pitch framing is absurd. Like I miss when people used to dot a glove, hit the glove. A
lot of catchers do that, including the ones who are called good framers. It's there's a lot of movement. Like
he seems like there's more movement though.
There might be, yeah, I don't know. Dalton rushing is a bat first catcher, but I sincerely believe that Kevin needs to go to sleep. I sincerely believe that if Dalton rushing was hitting the way he should, he would be the no-brainer, even with the defensive, I'm not even going to call it liabilities. The areas in which he's not as good defensively as Ben Rortvedt. Give me a catcher who can hit and is passable behind the plate, especially when he's got an arm so he can neutralize the running game. That you can do. I don't think catchers can take away as many runs with their pitch calling as they can add runs with their 3-run doubles and 2-run homers.
I agree. I disagree to a degree in that I think a pitcher throwing to somebody that he feels in lockstep with just helps them feel more confident while they're throwing their pitches. They feel like, hey, I believe this guy. If he puts his finger down, it's not one of those things. It's not an actual trackable stat. It is a one of those gut things or whatever. But I do think while it's not a metric you can measure, there is something to a catcher having some sort of synergy with his pitcher that will indirectly translate to taking runs off the board or keeping runs off the board.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I just think with the bat, he can directly contribute to putting runs on the board, and direct contributions, like you said, are easier to measure. And that's probably because they're more, what's the word? Real.
Because there are statistical measurements of it, which is lame. Yeah. Guys, make sure you guys hit that like button if you hate stats. Hit that like button if you love stats. Subscribe to the channel. I think we've talked enough catcher. It's all going to come down to Will getting healthy, and that's where the decision will be made. But they've already made the decision that Ben Rortvedt is going to be the number one catcher heading into the postseason, and I am good with that. I like that. I think right now is the time. And then hopefully, hey, maybe Dalton rushing turns into Rushtober, and he finds a way to sneak in and end up playing every game. The final thing I wanted to touch on here in the chat, Jason Diamond asking, or I don't know if it's accosting us about it, but it's really asking. You guys are going to talk about Pages on the base paths, another blunder. Guy still hasn't learned from his mistakes. Of course, gets thrown out, being way too far off the base on, I don't know if it was a bunt attempt. I forgot what happened in that.
No, it's Tommy Edmonds' line drive to first base.
That's right.
Second and third one out. You're thinking, okay, they'd already scored one run, good chance to tack on, and Edmond hit a line drive right at the first baseman. Pages gets doubled off third, and it wasn't even close. Pages was out from you to me, as Vin would say. And which is about 650 miles in this case between my mom's basement and your mom's basement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, part of the reason we don't mention it every time Andy Pages is bad at base running is because this is all Dodgers, not all Andy Pages being bad at base running, and that may be a full-time podcast.
Yeah.
I absolutely think there is one very clear area for Andy Pages to work on this offseason, which is base running and sliding. You know, the things involved in running the bases,
Yeah.
he's bad at it. He's bad at them, and he needs to be better at them.
Yeah, no, I don't know how you kind of get better at that outside of just it's more time and practice and game repetition and probably having conversations with coaches and and veterans and all of that kind of stuff. It's going to be hell though if that bugaboo pops up once or twice or 7 times in the postseason, because it is a pretty when it doesn't happen, it's like whatever, you never think about it. When it happens, oh my god, it is just hellfire raining down. Got to fire everybody. What is wrong with this kid? He's the worst. Send him to the moon. He's got to get real good over these next 6 games, I guess.
Yeah. Pa has been hitting better lately.
Yeah,
he's been showing signs of life with the bat. The base running blender is just something you're going to have to take with the territory for now, because it's not really something you're going to learn in a day or two during the season. It's something you spend a lot of time working on. I was just looking at the chat, and I saw somebody with our sarcastic comment about how Dalton Rushing should have been playing left field instead of Conforto, and it reminds me. You know how I love the phrase, well, he couldn't be worse than whatever.
Yeah.
Dalton Rushing was absolutely one of those people who couldn't be worse than Conforto earlier this season, in left field. And I think right now, if you polled 100 Dodger fans, 115 of them would rather have Michael Conforto than Dalton Rushing in left field right now.
At least up to bat. I think that's the more important thing.
Yeah, I think it's hard to assume that a catcher who's never spent much time in left field would be a better defensive left fielder than even a bad guy who has been playing left field his whole life.
On the thought of left field and the outfield and whatever. So I said earlier I was writing down names while we were talking. Looking at what I think the 13-man position player roster will look like for the postseason. And where did it go? Noah had asked had a comment asking us, this will be the final one, thoughts on Tommy Edman. And I will say, since he's come back, I'm not impressed. And I wonder if the best version of the offense suddenly, if it's Conforto, Pages, and Teoscar. Well, Teo's going to be in there every game. Obviously, his bat has been pretty inconsistent, but there's now once again a real conversation to be had about between the 4 dudes who can play the outfield regularly, who is going to slot in out there day to day. What's your kind of taste on Tommy Edman since he's come back?
I think Tommy Edman has had quite a bit of bad luck since he came back. I know there was the one game a week or so ago when he had 5 batted balls and 4 of them were over 100 miles an hour, and he went 0 for 5 in that game. And they were all not 100-mile-an-hour pop-ups. They were legitimately, he's hitting line drives right at people. Today's was a line drive right at a dude. Wasn't hit hard, but it still had a 350 expected batting average. We saw yesterday, he did hit a ball hard and it went over the fence in left field. So there's still a lot I like about Edman. Obviously, defensively, we know he can bunt. We know he can run. We know that the potential to hit is there.
Somebody needs to sit. That's the important thing. That unless it ends up being Miguel Rojas and Tommy is playing second, somebody in that outfield needs to sit if all of them are going to be playing. Well,
I don't know what the answer is, but I still have hope for Tommy Edman. I'm not going to say the sentence I was going to say because people already think I'm a Kike hater. So I won't say that I'd rather have Tommy in the lineup than Kike, even in Keektober, because we've seen Tomtober as a thing too. You know,
It is
Tomtober was
NLCS.
better than Keektober last year.
It's NLCS MVP Tomtober or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know. We got 6 more games to figure that one out. I'm sure we'll have more dialogue about that coming up this week here on the channel. Some version of you, myself, Kevin here on the channel talking about postseason things because it's just about that time. And it's just about time to clinch the 12th NL West crown in 13 years. But you got anything else to add before we sign off officially?
No, this was, yeah, hopefully Dodgers head to Arizona, which means I have to turn on my VPN for 3 more games this season. And then I'm done with the VPN until the playoffs. But yeah, the Padres take on the Brewers. So the Brewers are going to be our friends in helping the Dodgers clinch the division this week. The D-backs are still technically fighting for something. And then the Dodgers have the Mariners, who are also fighting for something. I'm hoping the Mariners may have locked things up. Right now, it's looking like the Mariners might be fighting for the 1 seed in the American League by the time the Dodgers play them. Do you see? Not a single team in the American League has clinched a playoff spot yet.
That's wild. Wait, didn't? Yeah. No, that's right, because the Tigers are just kind of floundering right now. And
the Tigers are in danger of missing the playoffs. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't even looked at any.
Right now, the Astros are on the outside looking in, which would be awesome. They're 3 games out in the West, and if the season ended right now, the Astros would not make the postseason.
Jays clinched playoff berth today, so there's your first one, but that's only one. Yeah, that's You know what? Hey, listen, it's honestly, all things considered, it's a good baseball season if you like watching baseball. But not me. Yeah. I'm a big-time football guy. Go Birds. Kevin says the AL is a tragedy. Don't sleep on any of those teams if we're trying to win that back-to-back World Series. But, guys, that's all we got for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us here on this Sunday evening. Thank you for the Super Chats if you guys happen to send one. I think I did get through them all. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show after we're live that is not in Super Chat form, well, you can leave a super thanks on the internet, which is cool. Some people, I've noticed Steven leaving a lot of super thanks after the fact on our streams. We very, very much appreciate that. If you're looking for a different way as well, scan that QR code that is obscuring part of my face to join us on Patreon, or just go to patreon.com/realfrg. There's the link in the description as well. It's $5 a month to join us on the Discord server, where we're talking about Dodger baseball and having arguments about either dumb things or smart things all the time. I also enjoyed hanging out on the football chat today with a bunch of Rams fans as my Eagles won. But do check that out. And if you can't do that, if you don't want to pay money to support us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All Dodgers is presented by FanDuel, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And now there's nothing else to say, but bye.
Bye.